Is this thing on? Well, here we go again. Um, it's been about a year and a half, maybe not long since I've recorded a podcast slash video, and I left you guys hanging as far as the first time I recorded a podcast was when I was traveling solo, and I thought that was what I was going to do full time. I thought I was going to be a nomad for at least a couple months, but that did not happen. So much happened. And I'm ready to share it for the first time. I'm finally at a place where I've done a lot of work, a lot of healing, and I want to remove the shame from the story. I posted a video today and it felt good to release and let that go. If you don't know me, my name is Viridiana. I am a Latina creative entrepreneur, formerly known as Chingona Inc. I had to close Chingona Inc. a couple months ago because I filed for bankruptcy. And I didn't say that initially because there was a lot of shame. I felt like I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to, I didn't have to share that with you guys, but I didn't feel like it would be authentic because that is part of being an entrepreneur, right? Like, we make mistakes. A lot of it was like personal life mistakes. When I tell you that having the wrong partner in your life, the wrong people in your life will either make you or break you, that's the truth and reality that I have never thought I would experience. And I'm here to share my story. That way you don't make the same mistakes as me. And now this will be more about my healing, entrepreneurship, and any tips or tricks I can do. Hopefully in the future, I can interview other people that I find fascinating. And I think that would help other people who are trying to go through the similar journey as me. And I want to take you guys back to me traveling back. But I think it's now a year and a half or 2025. And to tell you, like, the past couple of years have been insane. There's a lot that's happened, but also I've lost concept of time. And I can't believe it's been that long. But about a year and a half, I packed my bags, traveled through Mexico alone. I'm so proud of myself for doing that. I only went for like 6 weeks because so many things happened. I was still talking to my ex, and I left him on a 1 year lease. He convinced me to re-sign a lease on my apartment because I had nowhere to go and because I loved him so much, and I didn't want him to be homeless, even though he was still way deep in his addiction as an alcoholic. And against everybody telling me, don't do it, I did it. And in a way, I thought maybe in the back of my head, maybe time apart would give us time to appreciate each other, and mainly him appreciate me. And that didn't happen. He was still deep in his addiction. But I couldn't really even concentrate on my trip because I was so worried about him and I missed him. I was lonely throughout the trip. I had so many amazing experiences, to be honest, but I couldn't let go. And I would block him, unblock him. It's been like the story of my life. Finally, I've been no contact for a couple months now, and it's a healing journey. It's a process. But initially, I came home for what was going to be a brief moment to get a check, and I crashed. My body crashed. Um, he unfortunately was still deep in his addiction. I came home to the same situation, and my name was under the lease. Some of my stuff are still there, and I had to get out of there. But I didn't want to keep running. That was this basically what I felt like I had been doing for years, is staying busy, staying on the hustle mode, filled with a lot of friendships and things, and like always staying busy so I wouldn't have to deal with it. And I felt like my body crashed and said, like, I couldn't move, like literally couldn't move, but I knew I couldn't stay there. Um, I dropped him off one more time at rehab and made the decision that I had to move to San Diego, even if it was temporary, to get away from Vegas. Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. But that was like originally where I wanted to go before Vegas. but followed another ex to Vegas. That was almost 10 years ago, but I packed up my stuff and I moved in with roommates. That was like super huge, because first of all, there was like a lot of shame that whatever happened, with my relationship with my ex. Plus, financially, I had spent all my money traveling and blew it, and really didn't have like a lot of money to start over with. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to make the transition, even though I was moving in with roommates. What my apartment cost in Las Vegas is what my room costs here. And I was just in a place where I felt like such a failure because I'm 37, maybe at that time, moving in with roommates. Um, I had to like get rid of so much stuff. I was like forced to start over in so many ways. Plus, I couldn't file for bankruptcy because there's so many rules when it comes to bankruptcy. It took me like 2 years to file for bankruptcy. It was insane how long it took. If you ever decide to file for bankruptcy, make sure you look into the rules of everything. Like you can't use your credit cards for 6 months, can't make certain transactions. It's a process. Plus, you pay money, obviously, to do it. I was hoping to get the reset button before I left, but that didn't happen. I left the apartment to my ex because there was no way I could keep the lease. I should have just broken the lease then. I wasn't thinking straight. I just knew how to get out of there. But I left the apartment to him, even though he was in rehab. He is retired from the Navy, and now gets like 100% disability, partly because of me, because I sent him to rehab, which is a whole nother story about like vets and what the help they get, you know, super happy for him that he gets that, but also like sometimes it could be like I feel like a crutch for them, and it's like you have all this money, and in reality, they're not healed, they're not doing the work, and they live off that money, and it sucks for the people who really need it. Um, that's another thing that I don't want to dive deep into, but so I felt like, okay, he's gonna always have the money. I think out of anything, like he will not let me down in this. Like this is the one thing he will not let me down. No. 2, 3 months before the lease was over, he basically abandoned the apartment. He had been gambling again. That was one of his other addictions, is gambling. And there was always money issues with us. I opened up a business together, with Chingona Inc. I had always been a print on demand, where I upload my items to these print on demand. If I make a sale, then they get their cut and I get my cut. And I was doing fairly good with that. I really love just creating and designing. I never really envisioned myself doing production side, but everybody kept saying, "Oh, you should get machines, you should do this, you do that." And then when my ex came around, he was I didn't realize how bad his addiction was, and I was knee deep in thinking I was fully in love with this man. And so, uh, we kept talking about ways to basically make my business more profitable, all this different stuff. Someone gave him the idea of doing BTG machines. And I was like, well, that's basically what I do with print on demand. So why not cut the middleman? So I took out a loan for these machines. And unfortunately, it was good and it was bad. There were some times where I thought it was really going to work out. But he wasn't in the right state of mind to actually be there, to fully be present. He had manic days where he stayed up all night and he was trying, and other times he couldn't function. And so it was almost like I was trying to run my business all by myself some days, and it took a toll. I started drinking with him because I was just like, "So what you do when you're stressed, you drink." And the only way that I could really like put up with everything was to just drink with him and pretend like everything's okay. It was hard through the times I was like suffering, and I was suffering in silence. I couldn't tell anybody, I couldn't tell my family. There was so much shame around it. But finances started getting tough because I was putting more effort into trying to save him, take care of him. I got pregnant 2 times. First time was an ectopic pregnancy. I landed in the hospital after a fight with him over him drinking while my family was here. I almost died. I had to get like blood transfusion, and I was like, don't tell my mom that I get a blood transfusion because, Jehovah's Witnesses are not supposed to accept blood transfusions. And although I don't identify as a Jehovah's Witness anymore, it was still like that part of a shame of like, we're not supposed to accept blood transfusions. But this was like the first time ever that I was like, I might not make it out of this. The second time was another miscarriage, but not an ectopic pregnancy. That landed me in like $50,000 of debt in itself. It just seems like one thing after another kept happening, like bad things after bad things. I allowed his dad to come stay with us, who's also an addict. And I had literally made this man a priority over my own well-being. And my business started to not do well. My mental health, I was struggling and I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I did have like a therapist and then a life coach who kind of helped me through it, but I couldn't even be like completely honest with them. I would only give glimpses of things and always kind of highlight things, and like it is um getting better, but not really. The only person I was lying to was myself. It was a buildup of things. And you know what? At one point, I was like, okay, maybe we could just go travel and we'll be happier. Like that's always something I wanted to do, would be like a nomad and travel for a while. So I like invited him to come. He didn't want to. I did that super hard. He was like going to go to school to get psychologist because this man is always trying to find something. And the one thing that he likes, he's so good at everything. That's part that sucks, is like he was so smart, smartest people I've ever known. That's sometimes what happens, right? Addicts is they have so much potential, and I kept seeing the potential in him. I said, okay, do that. Maybe we need a break. And I went to travel by myself, but I was very sad and lonely, but not the best mental state or health. And he stayed back. I called. I could tell he was still not in his right mind. I left in my car. I came back, and he had been in a car accident, and supposedly he got hit. And technically, yes, he got hit, but I feel like there were so many things that happened that could have been avoided because maybe he was drinking. I don't know. I don't know the full story. I'm not here to like basically bash him, but the whole point I'm sharing this is that I couldn't let go, even knowing that bad things kept happening to me, like one thing after another, by having the wrong person in my life and not loving myself enough to walk away. I'm proud I finally left San Diego. I was carless. I was in limbo because I'm like literally between about to close Chingona Inc, trying to rebrand, trying to figure out who the fuck I am, do healing all in one. It was a really tough time this past year. I work has been slow. It had been slow, much better now, but it was obviously because I was just attracting the money wounds. I didn't realize how bad my money wounds were. That's why I decided to start my book club, Chingona Book Collective, because I'm making it a mission to work on my finances and not make the same mistakes. I never want to be in the same situations I was before. I know now that I have allowed this man to literally, have control over me. And I had all the power to walk away and I couldn't. And I'm not going to shame myself or shame anybody else because I have been there. I will never do that again. Like I always thought, like, I cannot understand people who stay in toxic, abusive relationships because he was abusive to me when he was, in his not right state of mind. And I still obviously make excuses for him. But it was almost like my inner Nina was trying to hold on to his inner child. And I know now that it was a trauma bond. It was a really crazy trauma bond. I wish him the best. I still have love for him. I'm not in love with him anymore, but I send him all my love all the time. I used to be like, I have to check in on him. Like I had this responsibility to know that he's okay. And so like like, after blocking him and blocking him everywhere, I wanted to send him an email, send him something. I had felt like this need. And it takes time. It's a process to let go and say, I'm not responsible for this man. It was also like maybe growing up, I felt responsible for other people, like always being the people pleaser. I mean, I wanted, like, now that I am like dating again, and literally the dating life is like near nothing, but I think it becomes like that when you finally set standards that like I wanted love so badly that I was willing to take anything. And that's always been the way I pick partners. That if someone tries really hard and loves me, even though I probably have nothing in common with them, realistically, not the right person for me, it was just like, well, this person loves me enough, so I should probably stay with them. And now that I am dating and a new, fresh set of eyes and lens, I'm like, no, these are my standards, and I'm not gonna let them go because I'm never going to be in that same situation again where I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel valued. I didn't put myself first. The last thing that my ex told me, um, one of my last karmic release ties, I like to say that's what it was, the need to check in on him. He told me, I miss the way you used to love me more than you love yourself. And that's when I was just like, oh my God, Viridiana, that's not good. That is not good. And that's like, I'm like, all right, I love you, but you can't be in my life. I wish you the best. I really hope you heal. I send you my love from afar. I don't need to text you. I don't need to email you. I don't need to have any contact with you. I release you. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been about a year and a half of like almost 2 years of like that we broke up, literally. But then it was like the aftermath. Like we all go through the aftermath of like we kind of still live together, still share spaces, share things. I didn't think you would leave me with the apartment. I had no money to pay for that. Um, basically, I was marked as abandoned. So basically, right now I'm 38 years old, not married, no kids. Filed for bankruptcy. I probably cannot rent an apartment by myself, and I'm on this mission and journey to refine myself. I've done a lot of work the past couple of months, and I'm finally in a place where I want to share it and take you along for the ride and let you know that it's going to be okay. There's a lot of times that I didn't want to talk about it. I hid away for like a year. Like I didn't want people to know what was going on in my life. I had so much shame around it. Bankruptcy. Chingona Inc was my baby. Like I trademarked that shit. Like I don't even know what happens logistically with all that. There's a lot of logistics that maybe I'll share and do. But I've started a lot of new things from it. For one, this podcast. I'm throwing it into the universe. I want to write a book. I started teaching classes. I want to help other Latinas. Like, I realized I just didn't want to sell mugs and teas. Like, I didn't want to push capitalism on people. Like, I've learned so much about finances from reading so many different books. And it's just this whole idea of selling items that people don't need. Yes, there is a lot of value in my art. Like, honestly, like I put so much time and effort into this, and a lot of it represents so much, but I want to sell more than mugs and teas. And now I'm on a mission to help other Latinas be a mentor to other ones. I started collage workshops. I'm planning to do one in January for a vision board, manifesting. And I'm finally at a place where I feel like I'm rebuilding. I'm rebuilding relationships, wounds, and I'm happy to share my tips and tricks with you. This is to the first episode. It's 2025. A month is left in 2025. But I have a feeling 2026 is going to be amazing. And I know we all say that, right? Like we have to say that. That's like the whole manifesting thing. If not, it's not going to happen. But this is your reminder, it's okay to start over. It's okay to let everything burn to the ground, as my life coach told me once. This time, you're not starting from, what's that saying? This time you are starting, there's a saying, it says here, this time you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. I've experienced a lot and I'm thankful for it. There was a lot of times that I felt like, for me, I was like in my victim mode my whole life. And now, as you know, Linda Garcia would say, like, no pobrecita me, I'm a wealth warrior, I'm a warrior, I'm rising stronger than ever, más chingona than ever. And yeah, that is basically today's episode, a little recap of what's happened. This is very vulnerable for me, but I feel like vulnerability is where I feel most comfortable. I know a lot of people are not sharing their story, but I think the shame is what keeps us from growing. Shame is where vibrance lives. And I don't want to live there. I don't want to live in shame. I don't want anybody else to live in shame. I want to hug you and tell you that everything's going to be okay. And you did the best you could. You loved because you wanted love. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. It is a shame that someone else took advantage of your love, but I think they meant well. I really do think that they weren't doing it from a place of hate. You know, it is the unhealed version of us that loved each other. And at the same time, we have the power to get out of that and realize we deserve better. So I hope this episode resonated with you. I don't really know what the future holds on this episodes, other than it's healing, entrepreneurship, creativity, all the stuff that I value. So stay tuned for more. Let me know if you want to hear anything else. As always, you are amazing. I'm proud of you. You're a chingona, and I love you. I love you.